In this video, we're going to be discussing GDP, or Gross Domestic Product, and why it's important to know what it means using this graph as a reference here. So GDP, which stands for Gross Domestic Product, is a very useful economical indicator for showing the measure of a country's standard of living and also the economic situation. In any case, a higher GDP means the country's economy is doing well and the standard of living is on the rise. A low GDP, on the other hand, means the economical situation is declining and overall things in the country are not trending well for people. So GDP is typically calculated using the formula where we have several different factors going into the calculation. We have consumer spending, investment by consumers, government spending, and net exports by the country. So all of these factors are added together to get the final GDP. So this is usually calculated on a yearly basis for each country. So as you can see here, this graph shows the GDP per capita, which basically means for the entire country, for all of these countries, several countries around the world, during the Global Depression from 1929 to 1939. So you can see here, things start off pretty high at their respective values and begin to trend downwards starting in 1930 to 1931, especially as the effects of the Global Depression begin to set in. You can see the US in particular decline severely going through to 1933, reaching a GDP of around 4,800 compared to its starting of around 6,900.
Why is that?
This was due to decreased spending by consumers because of fear that was mostly a result of the First World War and the brewing Second World War at the time. So everyone was anxious and on edge about the economy, and overall, people were not happy, they were not putting money into goods, and that drove the economy downwards. So GDP decreased in the US and across most of the world. We saw Germany, France going down here. All of these countries saw a significant decrease, except the USSR. The USSR actually did pretty good here, didn't decline at all, increasing all the way through the end of the Global Depression, likely because consumers felt no need to feel scared or fearful of the economical situation, because that's what GDP is a measure of. So,
What is USSR?
the USSR was the former name for the Soviet Union back in the 20s and 30s. It later turned into the Soviet Union, or Russia. So it ended up pretty much a lot higher than when it started here. You can see almost 2,000 compared to just around 1350 where it started. So in this graph here, we saw the GDP per capita, gross domestic product, for a variety of countries during the Global Depression. And what this means according to the country's economy, its consumer spending, investment, government spending, and net exports. That's what GDP means and how it appears on a graph.